This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with SB Sports. We're just after an absolutely mammoth show here in Galway. I'd probably say, Jamie, this has been your best show to date.
Jesus, okay, Morty, big statement. Very good show. Shows the calibre of the matches. All but Tiernan Bradley's went the distance. Yeah, really good, tough opponents. Mark Dunlap helped a lot with that, and we were saying before it that it is the best show in the current schedule that Irish boxing had, and I think it proved it tonight.
I guess where do you sort of start? Obviously, I know on the card. Well, obviously, I would say Kurt. I would probably say when Kurt came back, obviously I said I'm sure he's glad to be out of that ring. For your first 8-round fight, I get given probably the toughest opponent you'll ever find. They find your fight at 8 rounds.
I'd say the off camera during the week that I think this is probably the hardest fight on the card because of the lack of expectation with the opponent, and I knew this was a tough test, and I think Kurt needs these tests. So we're being a bit unfair on Kurt, putting him in really tough, really early, but he's going to move at a quicker pace than most prospects, and I think he needed that there to be ready for a 10-round actual title fight. And the Brazilian guy, as I said during the week, he had knocked out a guy who was ranked number 8 in WBO, a guy who I was actually looking at for Michael in the last round, in the 10th round, so he carried his power right to the end. Nothing affected him, nothing fazed him. He handled the heat pretty well. It was really, really, really good performance from Kurt. He had to adapt to different things that was thrown at him, had to adapt to the pace, had to adjust the pace, had to adjust everything, switching from orthodox to southpaw. Really happy with the performance. Glimpses are that I was really impressed with, and then other things that we need to work on, but I am throwing him in the deep end very early, and he knows that we're going to move a bit quicker. As we have stated initially at the start of the year, we want that British level fighter to kind of be the end of year crescendo.
How do you sort of match him next? I guess obviously it's how do you find another, and I was probably saying that guy's like a mini Brettis Prescott, and the fact of the way he just kept coming forward. Obviously the next thing is you want an opponent that's going to test him probably a wee bit in different other areas. You probably couldn't get a harder match up on that. I'm sure that guy was supposed to fight Joshua John in June, and I'm sure they're probably going, we've changed their mind now, because he just won't give you a second's breath the whole fight.
Yeah, tough, solid, everything bounced off him like the Terminator. Really, really good match, really good tough test for Kurt. I was worried about it because obviously May 27th is next. We're lined up for that. I knew it was in his head also that May 27th was next, and I just needed to kind of reassure him that this is the only fight that matters at this moment in time. It's a big learning fight, and a lot can be taken from it, and hopefully, and he did. He came out really, really well in the ring and said, I needed that kind of fight, and people are blowing over journeymen, but these kind of guys like that's a tough night's work.
I guess obviously the co-main event, like we spoke, obviously as the card started tonight, and I was sort of saying rematches sometimes end up in dull affairs. That was an absolute war. Like any promoter in world boxing, if they were tuning and watching that fight tonight, they would go, this is the type of fight that everybody wants. You couldn't have probably got any more than that fight, probably other than a knockdown, probably the only thing that's missing from that fight tonight. But I guess that's credit to both men, because they're both badly hurt it multiple times in the fight. I
think you put them two in a ring together 10 times out of 10, it's a fight that it's going to be decided by 2 rounds either way, or 3 rounds. I was so impressed with Conlan's engine tonight. We talked about it prior to it. Will the 10 rounds suit him more? I thought they really did. Morrissey, I thought, started better than he did in the first fight. Harry kind of controlled the pace and controlled the distance, especially in the first 3 rounds. I was saying to whoever was sitting next to me, Brandy Irvine, saying about the distance that he looks like he's just a split second ahead. But Conlan's like, the engine just keeps coming. The wee locomotive train that just keeps coming. And, well, big locomotive train, he's a light heavyweight. And I thought he was just breaking down Morrissey bit by bit as it went on, bit by bit. Just keep breaking him down. And, in the end, I had Conlan winning. I had a clear as well to Conlan. I think people around me were different, but I gave Jamie the first 3 rounds clear. There was a round in between the first 5 that was close. So the closest I would have had it was 6-4. I thought Kevin was fantastic. I thought his work rate towards the end was amazing. I thought Jamie's work was brilliant at the start, very clean, kept the distance, was able to find the range, as I said, and was just, like putting a lot into his punches, but not as much as he did in the first fight, and I thought he's going to be able to keep this up. So, yeah, it's a toss-up every time between them two, and as a neutral, it was fantastic. If I was in either corner, I would be a bit aggrieved and a bit annoyed. I know Morrissey's team were saying it was a fight of two halves, and yeah, it was. But I thought Kevin had just done enough in the first half to nip it in the second round.
I guess obviously the gum shield comes into question. Obviously 3 times in the 10th round the gum shield came out, and I think the third time, I'll need to watch it back to see, but the third time the head was actually completely rocked back. So at what stage, it's not really a safe moment for the referee to jump in. I thought it was probably either stop the fight because they looked badly hurt, or why do you stop in the middle of attack like that? I thought it has to be a safe place. You probably maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but Kevin Cronin was in a big attack and he stops it, and you're going, it has to be a count. And for the end of the third time in the round, you're going, it has to be a point at least.
I'm not sure if the BUI have a standing 8 count rule, so I don't know. I get probably the referee's decision and not giving them a point off because it was the last round. But again, whether it's the first round or the last round, I think you have to score it individually. They came out a lot, man. They came out a lot. Kevin's also come out. He started one round without one in, so. It would have been. If I was Morrissey, I probably would have felt harsh. But then, if I'm also Cronin, I also feel harsh that it doesn't get scored. So it's a real tough match. It's a real tough fight. Do they want to do it again? If I'm in each camp, it's a hard one. From a neutral perspective, please, let's do it again. But I would understand from each camp that this is a real tough one to kind of go back to. It's tough on both lads. Both lads kind of deserve another step in their career, and the Irish title is there again for them. Like, do you dangle at it on a bigger show? It's just unfortunate that May 27th is so soon. Or we would have tried. I would love to have that on in Belfast and in a big fight and what's on BT Sport and everything like that. It deserves its own headline. I think if you're going to do that again, that's a headline fight, and it's a toss-up where you want to put it.
I know that obviously straight after the first match in Belfast, you'd obviously messaged me and said we're interested in the rematch. You got the rematch. You obviously, it's how to get the third fight over the line. And I spoke to Jonathan Lewins afterwards. I haven't spoke to either fighter yet, but it's probably now. Does it maybe have to make financial sense to both of them? That there has to be maybe a bigger prize in the line for them.
They need to be a headline act. They can't be co-main. They need to be a headline act, and someone deserves it to be in their home city. And it'll be whoever wants to kind of put that fight on in either Cork or Limerick, and if there's any facilities that can match what the fight can do. I really think that's a fight that deserves national TV. I think that's a fight that really deserves a lot of recognition. The lads deserve national recognition because they put it all on the line not once but twice, and they were both, as I said before, a credit to themselves that they actually get in together because they knew what it took in the first fight, and they were prepared to go through that and more in the second fight.
Obviously on the main event, Kieran finally getting rounds. Obviously the problem was getting them rounds before. The smaller opponent probably tricky and very awkward. The catch clean at times, but that's 8 valuable rounds for Kieran tonight.
I thought he was fantastic. There is things to learn in atmospheres and positions like he is in there. Headlining an event in the 5th fight, with the weight expectations, everyone's expecting knockout. So you try too hard for a knockout. Whereas before in Belfast, he was able to put the punches together a bit more freely and flowing with the feet a bit more better, especially against the Russian Vazim. But this is what he needed. He needed to feel what it felt like to be trying too hard and the opponent surviving and getting scrappy and him closing the distance and smothering the work and holding and falling over and all them different things. He needed to feel that because that doesn't happen in sparring. It doesn't happen in the fights that are really going to matter. But you need to kind of feel what it's like to be all one-way traffic and not being able to kind of to close it out and like what everyone is expecting, and you're trying too hard as well. A lot of lessons learned, a real lot of lessons, and I was very impressed. I was impressed then when he switched off from trying to get the knockout to actually putting the punches together and really flowing, and really good work there. Really good work. I think his body punches is fantastic. He'll now double up one more. That's a night where he's learned more than anything that the previous 4 fights have kind of been into. He's also felt expectation, everyone waiting for him, everyone expecting stuff from him, and again the build up to that and being in the home city all week and people asking questions, so a lot of learning.
Obviously, next stop Belfast. Obviously, 5 weeks tomorrow. It just doesn't stop. Like obviously, you had to go back home now and be a father to the kids and everything else. I haven't seen you in a few days. Obviously, Kieran and Kurt both on the card. I think I might get now 12 fights. Is that the maximum limit we have, or is there any more additions to come?
There may be 1 or 2 more. We're hoping to confirm and lock in the rest of the fights. We have a big man who is annoying me to get his fight announced and get it out there, which we should announce next week. But yeah, we're looking to get things ready and rolling. We're all ready to go. Everyone is, excited, very excited. It's a big night. It's a big test. It's a big night all round. I think we're expecting a massive night for Irish boxing.
Obviously, you've been used to obviously Mick before. Obviously, in Nottingham for the first world title fight. Does it now, when you realise now it's 5 weeks till he goes again, this is where the nerves really kick in for you again, because you're obviously a brother as well as obviously promoting the show and everything else. So does the nerves now start to, or I guess the confidence sort of until fight week hits?
No, you're picking up on the sparring. You're looking at different things. We're figuring out different things, and you get confidence with different, confidence in preparation. Seeing what's being ticked, seeing what's been done, and just being very happy with what's going on. And yeah, we're very, very confident, very excited, but also know the daunting task that's in front. This Luis Alberto Lopez is a frightening man. He's very, very dangerous. It's going to be a really tough fight. Michael's going to be the best Michael Conlan that we have seen to date.
Finally, obviously, I want to touch on obviously everybody here in Galway tonight. Obviously, they've had a spectacle. I guess obviously for any Galway fans, if obviously Kieran Malloy, when can they hopefully expect to have another Galway fight night?
We're looking at the end of the summer, maybe just the tail end of it, just after. We'll sit down, we'll reassess everything, we'll look at what the options is on dates, and then we'll move forward with it. But we gotta go bigger. We gotta go bigger.
Well, listen, thanks very much for your time as always. I'll let you go and get something to eat. Kieran Malloy says you're buying him pizza. He says I was buying it, but you can buy it for him. You have more money than me.
Oh, you've got a lot more money than me, Morty.
Jerry, thanks very much for your time as always. Take care.
Thank you. Cheers.